Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where, legitimately for a limited time only, the Pilgrim is back.
Pilgrim is back. It's Thanksgiving on a bun. You got cranberry sauce, you got turkey, you got cheese, you got stuffing bread, all this great stuff, all smashed into one nice sandwich.
It's their most popular seasonal sub.
I've tried it. It's very good.
Let's talk about the Steelers at Cincinnati, specifically the nastiness.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good.
No,
it's not healthy. It's like the crazy thing about that game last season is that even if you take the Ryan Shazier incident out of it, it was still a horrifying game to watch.
It was still really rough. I mean, but here's the thing is that it's like, when I looked at, because I remember driving back with you and Matt Sunday after that game, and you guys were like, that's the worst Steelers game I've ever seen as far as, I was like, man, did you remember the game before, the Bengals game before that one?
They're both bad, but you do a terrible imitation of us. I just have to
You guys
say,
were just losing your
I
minds.
don't-
I'm sitting there in the back seat.
Because
What are they talking
because
about?
you're Mr. Football, and it's all so tough and everything, and let them.
But come on!
Let them
the year
kill
before,
each
they
other.
literally fought at the 50-yard line when Vontaze Burfict was trying to take on Vince Williams, and James Harrison was stepping in it.
But it
I
gets
got
to the
you.
point where players are deliberately attempting to hurt each other, and it did go both ways. This is not a criticism of the Bengals or the Steelers. It goes both ways, and it gets to the point where you think to yourself, what's enough? You know?
Yeah,
And not even in that game. Like, but the David DeCastro Burfict, remember the battering rams? Like, wow.
Well, I mean, the Steelers. I mean, even before David DeCastro, Willie Colon. There's a play when Burfict was a rookie. Colon took Burfict, put him into the ground, and spun him around.
Yep.
They have hated him for so long.
But it's not just about Burfict.
I
It
agree.
isn't. It's a really nasty, brutal at times rivalry.
Those teams don't like each other.
So if you're the Steelers,
What's up?
what do? Like, you have to be aware of that clown on the other side. You have to be aware that he's going to attempt to injure, whether it's Juju or someone else. He's going to find a way to roll up somebody's ankle or their knee late in the play. Oh, he fell down on the quarterback or whatever. And it's not going to be enough to say, well, look, the ref threw a flag and we got 15 yards out of it if you
protect
lose
your
a
guy.
guy. But how?
You protect your guy.
You say that, or what does that mean?
Last home game against the Bengals, Roosevelt Nix. Everyone talked about the Juju hit because that was an amazing
No,
hit.
Rosie pounded.
But in that home game, Roosevelt Nix just pounded him and pounded him and pounded him. It was like a drive where he hit him 4 times in a row. And at one point, Ramon Foster talked about this on his radio show. He said, I saw Nix drive him into the end zone, and Rosie looked at him and said something, and Vontaze said, bro, I don't care. I just got paid.
Oh,
Literally said that on the field.
that
Vontaze
is
Burfict.
surrender.
But exactly. And that's the thing is they beat and you saw him. There was none of that Vontaze Burfict stuff in that first home game because it was Roosevelt Nix they said put your hat on him, take him, make him a non-factor. And he
Rosie
did.
as enforcer.
Yes. I say Roosevelt Nix, and you can still get David DeCastro, Ramon Foster, Marquise Pouncey in the mix because he's still going to try those slick things like when there was one time he tried to stomp on Ramon Foster's foot.
Sure, yeah.
You know, you just gotta keep
What
your head
I'll
on a
say
swivel.
is that your head has to be on a swivel,
Yes.
but it has to be on a swivel for about 2 to 3 seconds longer than it normally would be, because that is when that guy
Comes and gets you.
will come and get you. He'll do that. Oh, I just got knocked into somebody.
And try to take you out with him.
A moment, yeah, he just happened to fall back at the end because you've let up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, the whistle has blown. People are starting to get up.
It's a boxer
Always
mentality.
know where 55 is on the other
Protect
team.
yourself at all times.
Yep. When you have Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins up front,
Yes.
you have some big-time players who already this season are making big-time plays. It's almost a shame, that when we talk about the Cincinnati defense, we talk way more about Burfict than we do about those guys. Those are real life. Not that Burfict isn't. He can actually play football.
I mean, he's a good player.
But,
He's just-
but these guys are getting the job done. And what do the Steelers have to do to neutralize them?
I think one thing you're going to see a lot of is David DeCastro and Marquise Pouncey double teaming Geno Atkins, getting him out of the hole, trying to make sure he's not getting in the way. One thing I think is that we've been talking about, they're going to need to use a lot more pulling linemen, get those linebackers on the move, make the Bengals linebackers think, because as soon as they see, and the Steelers did this a few times to Atlanta, they would run a lot of power plays where you'd see David DeCastro pull, you'd see Ramon Foster pull.
Mm-hmm.
But then they, in the second half, when the passing offense started to click, they would pull a guy and he would stay back, and it was a pass. It was play action, and the linebackers would see pulling linemen. That's going to be a run play, and then they get stuck. And
what
caught.
About where Dunlap lines up?
We're done. Oh, you got to make sure you're working in tandems. One, on the pass rush, Marcus Gilbert and Alejandro Villanueva have been doing a very solid job, especially last week. They both shut out two good edge rushers in McKinley and Beasley. You got to trust that they're going to do it again. As far as the run game, tight ends are going to come in and chip. You're going to see some Jesse James and Vance McDonald help push those guys to the inside. Don't let them seal the edge and then go get your linebacker.
I guess the thing that concerns me more than anything else is their ability, Atkins and Dunlap, to disrupt the passing game.
Yes.
When you look at the Bengals statistically through these first 5 games, and to their credit, they're 4-1. I'm not going to knock them.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
It's early.
It's early. But they've given up a lot on the ground. They've given up a lot on the line of scrimmage. And if you look at where the Steelers rediscovered their mojo,
it's through the ground.
Oh, it's through the line.
Yeah.
It's not like James has been
around.
Barry Sandersing it around the edges here.
He's hitting holes. Now, he's hitting holes hard.
He's hitting holes,
but there's holes there,
and he's breaking tackles. Arguably better than anybody in the NFL so far this season as a running back, and that's the part where I think that if the Steelers can soften that up.
Get more of those one-on-ones. Force the Bengals to say, we cannot let these guys run the ball. Get those one-on-ones. You want William Jackson on Antonio Brown. You want Drake Kirkpatrick's on Juju Smith-Schuster. Get those one-on-ones. Take advantage of them.
And the Steelers have always, and it now is proven that it was not just Le'Veon Bell, they've always run the ball well on Cincinnati. We could get into Andy Dalton. We know what Andy Dalton is.
Yeah. Red Ryder BB gun.
And the Steelers believe and have believed for a long time that they're in his head. We'll see about that. I like what's happened to Tyler Boyd because I like Tyler Boyd.
Oh no.
He's just he's a great kid, but he's becoming a good.
He's a good receiver.
NFL intermediate wide receiver who's capable of breaking a couple from time to time. But it's still going to come down to A.J. Green against Joe Hayden. You know that, I know that. What makes A.J. different than Julio Jones?
What makes A.J. different is that I think A.J.'s a much better route runner, and he's a little bit more consistent.
Better than Julio Jones?
At route running, yes. Julio's a better athlete. What Julio does
Julio's a better athlete than pretty much the whole planet.
Yeah. He's so big and so fast, he'll blow past you. But one thing that Julio doesn't do is when you see those tippy-toe on the sideline plays, a lot of times you don't see him get that extra effort to get the toe tap in. A.J. Green will.
I'm marking that word down, effort, because that's the point that I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
We were watching Julio Jones' effort, his body language at times against the Steelers this past Sunday, and it was lousy.
Yeah.
Now, you do get discouraged as a wide receiver because you're out there, you're running routes, and I don't care who you are, you're the biggest, greatest team player of all time. You're running around, and you're not even getting targeted.
Nope.
It beats you up. A.J. Green doesn't have that in his DNA at all. This guy works his tail off. He's a heart and soul player.
And if he gets upset, he'll take it out on somebody, like he took it out on Jalen Ramsey last year when they got into a nut. But that's the thing. A.J. Green is not going to just go away just because you take him out the game. He can hurt you at any point in time, as the Steelers have seen in the past. The key thing is get to Andy Dalton, knock him off his launch point. I think he shares a lot of similarities with Matt Ryan in that he is very good when he's in the pocket and his system is working. But as soon as you start making him come off his launch spot,
out of his comfort zone,
he starts to lose it. He starts to make mistakes, and that's when you can capitalize. This Steelers defense has created some turnovers early in the year. They had 4 turnovers forced against Tampa Bay. They had a big turnover last week. But that's the thing. They're starting to come into it. If that pressure starts getting to Dalton, look for more turnovers this weekend.